I'm John Levy. As you can see from the screen, it's my privilege to continue to serve as the 10th chair of the Legal Services Corporation. And on behalf of our board, welcome you to this special forum on increasing access to justice. I just have to say, sitting here in the first row is the 9th chair of the Legal Services Corporation, Frank Strickland. Frank, thanks for being with us. And we at LSC, how lucky we are to have a long-serving, really outstanding, dedicated, bipartisan board. And here in Kentucky, I particularly want to recognize one of our board members who began his service with me in 2010, Vic Maddox. There you go. Until very recently, he was counsel for special litigation in the Kentucky Attorney General's office. We're so grateful to you, Vic, for your tremendous expertise, your dedication, and for those of you joining us at this evening's reception. And if you weren't planning to, you should change your plans, because you're going to have the special treat of hearing Vic's terrific musical talents. I would also like to thank LSC's Kentucky grantees: Appalachian Research and Defense Fund, Kentucky Legal Aid of Bluegrass, and the Legal Aid Society. We heard your presentations yesterday. Your work is vital. Your impact, as we just saw, life-changing for families, seniors, veterans, and survivors. It's a pleasure to be back here after nearly 16 years to meet with you in person in your home state and to learn from some of you, your clients, about the tremendous services you are providing. And if you'll allow me, one final thanks to the folks from Paws with a Purpose for bringing out some beautiful furry friends to greet us here today. We've actually never had dogs at one of these forums, but what a great addition. Our program today makes it evident that people who call Kentucky home are passionate about contributing to their state and creating opportunities for those who live here. We will be hearing today from leaders from statewide initiatives, local businesses, services organizations, as they share remarks and participate in two insightful panel discussions. One of our speakers, a staff attorney from Legal Aid of the Bluegrass, is an alumna of LSC's Rural Summer Legal Corps Fellowship Program. This is a program that our board started, and this year marks its 10th anniversary. LSC has raised private funds during this past decade to mobilize more than 400 law students over that period to expand capacity at rural legal services organizations. And over this decade, these rural fellows have served over 14,000 people in rural communities. And this summer, 2 such student fellows are here with Appalachian Research and Defense Fund. Beyond adding capacity, LSC's vision for this program is to expose the next generation of lawyers to the important work of legal services in helping to meet the needs of rural Americans. As our focus today is on recovery, workforce and development and economic opportunity, I'm also moved to reflect on LSC's opioid task force, which brought together experts from across the country in 2018 and 19 to envision a collaborative path forward to addressing this public health crisis and its rippling effects. The seeds for this initiative, in fact, were planted in significant part by Vic Maddox and by leaders at LSC's Kentucky grantees who sounded the alarm that there was work to be done to address the devastating impacts of this emerging crisis, the opioid crisis, and that legal services needed to be a core part of that work. Well, the Bluegrass State has been a real leader in developing and implementing comprehensive approaches to recovery, one that brings together healthcare, the courts, law enforcement, human services, the private sector, and more. Well, another crisis which we are deeply familiar with, frankly, all too familiar, is the justice gap. When low-income Americans do not receive any or enough legal help for 92% of their civil legal problems, it is absolutely a crisis. Unfortunately, as we are here at the 250th anniversary of the founding of our country, we also hear that even average Americans have difficulty accessing the justice in the civil justice system for their families. I believe the work of civil legal services is deeply patriotic, and LSC remains dedicated to helping our country live up to its foundational promise of equal justice. And it recalls for me the words spoken by our nation's late great Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, who at the Legal Services Corporation's 40th anniversary in 2014 powerfully declared, "The American ideal is not for some justice." I'm quoting the justice, I should make clear. "It is, as the Pledge of Allegiance says, liberty and justice for all." Or as the Supreme Court pediment has it, equal justice. Justice Scalia went on, "I've always thought that's somewhat redundant. Can there be justice if it is not equal? Can there be a just society when some do not have justice? Equality, equal treatment is perhaps the most fundamental element of justice." Well, we know there is much work that remains to be done to advance our nation's promise of equal access to justice. And we're so fortunate to be here with so many of you who have dedicated your professional lives to accomplishing that goal. Your work helping to move the needle so that more folks have access to justice is the best anniversary present anyone could ever give our country. Thank you for your tireless commitment. I look forward to learning today during today's compelling program